Please read the disclaimer. Okay, I thought I would show you what I saw previously. There it is. Remember when I said in the previous video that you had this little image pop up? Let's see whether it holds dear. So there we go, Maximum Family Games, the publisher. And obviously we'll get the developer brain in the jar popping up. Huh? There it is, brain in a jar. Fuck this development team. Oh, look at that. Look at that title. That's a title. I could make that in Photoshop if I really wanted to. Very good. Oh, looky. I have seen all of 5 seconds of this game and I already know what it's a port of. I already know. And do you know what it wasn't the car. It wasn't the car. It was the track design that gave it away. It was the track design. This is Euro Rally Champion for the PlayStation 2. This is what this is. 100%. Fantastic. Okay. I guess I got to do the welcome thing and all that. So welcome, I'm Bio, and today we're looking at another shitty brain-in-the-jar racing game. Part of the Maximum Family line of games, or the Maximum Racing games. And that game is Maximum Racing Rally Racer for the Nintendo Wii. Released in March 2011. Just to give you a bit of context, obviously I looked at GP Classic Racing before, and that came out in March 2011. That one came out on March 14th, 2011. This one came out on March 29th, 2011 in America. Again, I'd like to point out these games were released very shortly. You know, pretty much out of the 7 games we're looking at, because there's 7 total. 5 of them came out in 2010, at least in Europe first, and then 2 came out in 2011. So, because of course this game came out in Europe first, simply as Rally Racer. Because of course it did. Anyway, so yeah, I'm locking in my decision straight away. This is Euro Rally Champion. This is 100% Euro Rally Champion. I was already certain that each of these were ports of a already existing game, but I didn't think they were literally going to be just straight up ports. No changes, really. Okay, interesting music. I didn't think it was going to be straight up ports, but okay, whatever, I guess, you know. Is there really a point of me trying to input a name? I guess, in case you're wondering, yes, I do have the thing. I just don't see the point of using it. Now, we're going to actually do a little test here. So we have time trial, championship, and options. Let's go to options. Let's go to controls. Now we are under control type 1 and 2. This, once again, the game automatically goes to control type 1, which requires the nunchuck. Now, how am I going to play this game? I'm going to play it with the nunchuck, because guess what? I don't like motion controls. And the motion controls in this game are poor. They're not good, they're not bad, I would just say they're poor, but motion controls in pretty much every Wii game that's not Nintendo developed, internally Nintendo developed, are pretty poor, if I'm honest. So let's put the nunchuck in. Nunchuck doesn't work on the main menu, by the way, only for the racing. We have time trial and championship. Let's go to championship, why not? Start new championship. Car type, forward, wheel drive, skill level easy, yeah sure, why not? Now the real question is, does it have the car customization that that Euro Rally Champion did? Because that actually had some car customization where you could tweak things. And yes, it does. There we go. It has the exact same thing. We can tweak. It's basically, this game is basically what the game would look like if you ran the game with Vulkan settings, with max Vulkan settings on PCSX2. That's basically what it is. Let's just go with default. I don't care about messing around with the settings. Right. Interesting. Yep, it's the same. So, welcome to Euro Rally Champion, because that's what this game actually is. It really is Euro Rally Champion. They were that fucking lazy. Oh yes, I remember this absolutely terrible narrator that tells us of every little detail about the track. Like we couldn't react to it ourselves, of course not. I'm actually starting to think these trees are PNGs, and I want to confirm. Yes, no, that is a 3D modelled object. Poorly 3D modelled, but yeah, it is one. Oh look, we have another game with poor track design. Why is it poor track design? Because it's boring and bland. Again, as I stated in my previous video at the end of the video, the reason I shit on these games is not because that they control terribly, because take away this stupid control scheme that they've got, and in other words, play the PlayStation 2 version, and the controls are fine. There's also the fact that the racing is actually, you know, the physics and how the car controls are fairly decent. It's just that the game is boring, bland, and fucking basic. There's nothing to bring you back to this game. There's absolutely nothing. The game has no identity, and that's what I said at the end of the last video looking at GP Classic Racing. The game has no identity. There's nothing here that makes you want to come back and play this. It controls very basically. There's nothing special about it. It's a very basic, bland racing game. Or rally racing game. What's stopping you from playing dirt? I tell you what, right? There's a game that comes to mind instantly that I would say you would rather play than this. Shocks. You ever played Shocks on PlayStation 2? Well, guess what? I'm 100% certain Shocks came out before this game. Even the PlayStation 2 version. I'm pretty sure Shocks came out before. And Shocks I picked up in a bargain bin for I think like 50 pence when I was younger. I think if I remember correctly, I picked up Shocks in a bargain bin for about 50 pence. In some, I think it was, trying to think. I think it was, if I'm honest with you, can't think of the actual shop. Cash converters, there we go. So there's a line in the UK of pawn shops. That's PAWN, okay? Yeah, get the mind out of the gutter. That sells all kinds of things. Cash converters even nowadays. They're not as big as they used to be, but they are still around, and yes, they do still sell video games. Quite interestingly enough, they sell Atari 2600 games, the one, at least my local one does. I don't know why. But I guess it's something that someone must have traded in at some point for cash. Because again, it is a pawn shop. And I remember picking up Shocks from cash converters back in, like, I don't know, 2005, 2006 for 50 pence and playing that game and going, oh, that's a pretty decent rally racing game. So why would you not play that and instead play this? You wouldn't. You would play Shocks, because Shocks has got more of an identity than this game has. Because this is bland, boring, and basic. And that's the issue. That's the issue with these shitty budget racing games, because they want 20 quid for this. 100% they wanted at least minimum 20 quid for this game when it came out. And that is criminal. That is criminal for a game that's not, in my opinion, is not even worth a fiver. Oh, look at that. We did a little flippity dip. Oh, come on. Land on the roof. Oh, no. We're not going to land on the roof. If we did anyway, there's a button to reset us, because it's got the same fucking controls as GP Classic Racing at the end of the day. Or Golden Age of Racing, I should say. Oh, yes. Absolutely fantastic. I'd like to also point out, when you actually get launched into the air high enough, you can see that there's a lake to our left that's filled with white water. It's literally, they've put water physics in there, but well, it looks like little ripples in the water. But it looks like they haven't actually given the water any particular colour. They've just left it white. Like, no, they haven't changed it blue or added some nice texturing or anything. They've just left it white. Even with the fact that they know that the player at times is going to be launched into the air. There we go. There's the water. Look at the water. It's white. You see little ripple effects, and it's the same ripple effects used over and over again. Again, they just don't care. Brain in the Jar did not care. Nordic Games Publishing did not care, which is the publisher for the European version, by the way, about this, about releasing shit games. You know, I could do a video on Nordic Games Publishing, but we've had a look at quite a few of their games already, so it's pointless. And there is actually some decent games that they've actually published. And if you, I am pretty sure Nordic Games Publishing merged with THQ, because now there's a publisher called THQ Nordic, and I'm pretty sure I remember reading that these two publishers combined together. So, because in case you're wondering, Nordic Games Publishing published, which is still a subsidiary, I believe, of THQ Nordic. They published Darksiders on the Switch. So there you go. What an absolutely terrible, boring game this is. It is so... I'm not even engaged. I'm just going through the motions playing this. I'm playing this game on automatic. I'm playing this game, effectively speaking, on cruise control. I'm not even... The game has not even got even a fraction of my attention. I am just... I can see a brown track, and I'm following the brown track. That is all I'm doing. And oh look, I think we're at the end of the course. There we are. And we smashed into the fence. So how well did we do? Look at that. We actually did really, really well in that. We actually did better than the one that should be on top. I managed to complete the race in 6 minutes and 34 seconds, which is immensely better than everyone else. And guess what? I'm not playing any more of this game because, of course, I'm not going to play any more of this absolute dog shit video game. I believe I've already stated why this game is bad. I shouldn't need to keep reiterating myself. People need to have expectations and standards when it comes to video games. So when they see something like this, they should go, wow, that's dog shit, and call it out. You know, I do feel like in the past I was a little bit too critical with Nap's team. Don't get me wrong. I do believe I was a little bit too critical with Nap's team, but that's why I put the extra effort into the Aqua Pacific video and so on and so forth. Obviously, I don't put as much effort as maybe I used to, but now I'm a little bit more hesitant. I'm a little bit more like try to think of a reasonable, try to be a bit more reasonable when looking at a game. But I will if I honestly believe that a game is absolutely terrible, I will call it out. There is nothing wrong with the driving controls in these games. They work. They're nothing special, but they work. The issue lies with how bland, boring, and basic these games are. The games have no identity, and leads me to believe that Brain in a Jar just don't care. They don't care. Somebody in the development line, whether it be Brain in the Jar, whether it be Nordic Games Publishing, whether it be Midas, who published the original port of these fucking games, someone in the chain did not fucking care. And that's what makes the difference. You don't care, what's going to happen? You're going to make this, it's going to be a shit game. But there's one game that we are looking at. Should be the fourth game that we look at that has potential, because I remember it being my favorite of the Brain in the Jar racing games, and I believe that this fourth game that we will look at in this series will be a port of that game, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. I've been Bio. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.